everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Extraction Royale podcast. I'm Ender, here with the co-host that probably today is going to think he's the smarter co-host, the better co-host, on top of the game, because we have an interesting episode here where, to start it off, we're going to go through some of the games that we like to play and rank them. But first off, how are you doing today, James?
Yeah,
how's it been?
I'm doing pretty good. My fantasy football team is most likely about to start off with a win, which is going to be great. Although
How about them Commanders starting off?
Listen,
with a win?
I told you, don't. Carson Wentz is good, man.
I'm not saying anybody's not good. I'm just saying people are not good in DC.
Well,
There's a difference.
I'm a Bengals fan, and yes, we did just go to the Super Bowl, but we reminded everyone how we got the nickname the Bungles today. Joey Burrow. I'm not too worried about the season. It is super just dumb things happened.
We're not going to get too deep into that.
Yeah, I mean they missed an extra point to win the game at the end because that gets blocked. That pisses me off. Then we stop them in overtime, and then we throw a touchdown, but then we don't challenge it. So then we missed another field. Yeah, I just like dumb.
Anyway,
like just pissed me off. So that's my
why
day.
We have video games in the Extraction Royale podcast to distract us from everything else that's going on.
Yes. I'm fired up to prove to you why I know more than you.
Since this is the first episode here, we kind of need to lay out what this podcast is really going to be about. We've gone back and forth with many ideas and concepts, and we try them out, and we always keep coming back to the same things, playing the same kind of games, and that is all based around shooters and the different types of shooters out there. But specifically right now, in the game of shooters, we have really three genres that we are playing. And I break them down as battle royales. So your war zones, Fortnites, Apex Legend games. You have your extraction, looter, shooter, PvE, PvP, whatever you want to call them, as they go on, such as Escape from Tarkov, The Cycle, Hunt Showdown, which I haven't played, so we don't have it on this list we're going to go through right now, but we'll have it on later lists because I'll definitely pick it up and start playing it because it's just, people are loving this newest expansion that came out from Hunt Showdown or some of the changes, so I really want to give that the shot. And then the last I consider to be multiplayer shooters or really competitive shooters. So your Halos, your Vanguards, Call of Duty Vanguard, or your Battlefield, games like that you would see more in the competitive space, which will also, that could also bring in some of the other games such as Valorant, which I know we both have played a tiny bit, not much. We probably should get a little bit more. CSGO, which I've played, but again, people have been playing that game for so damn long. It's just too hard to get into at this point with competitiveness. But you also have games like Splitgate that have come on the scene pretty hot. Yeah. So before we get into that, I kind of do want to, we're recording on 9/11. I want to make sure that we do take a minute to reflect on all the past and remember all of the people that were there for us in the moment of need, the firefighters, the police officers, the first responders, and also everyone there that was at the trade centers that was helping, and also at the Pentagon for those. It was also my anniversary yesterday. We were married on 9/10. We wanted to have a big party before the terribleness that happened. Being someone that is from and lives in DC, I can remember that day more clearly than almost any other day of my life, where I'm sitting in home room in high school, and we're watching the TV, and I literally was watching TV when the second plane hit. And where I'm at, we're incredibly close to the Pentagon. Like, I'm only 45 minutes to an hour away, and sitting there all day long while they were calling kids down to the office to let them know whether or not their parents were okay or not. as they found out where they were in the midst of all the chaos, because there was no phone. You couldn't call anybody. Phone lines were down. Like, it was just pure chaos. I want to make sure that we do acknowledge that and not forget what happened on that day, especially with all the first responders that were there and lost their lives. And just want to take a minute there. But on a brighter note, today James and I are going to have a little bit of a battle. So we have picked 10 games that we have some time in, and we're going to rank them. And we have a 10-to-1 list, and we're going to see who has the superior list. I know it's going to be mine.
I don't think so.
Games,
you're too big-headed. You're too thick.
It's gonna be
you
mine.
can't be reasonable.
The games that we chose were Fortnite Warzone, PUBG, Apex Legends, Escape from Tarkov, The Cycle Frontier, Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042, Call of Duty Vanguard, and Splitgate. So those are the 10 games we are going to be ranking. Those are the 10 games we are going to be arguing about. But if I was looking at this list, these are about the 10 games we played the most over the last last year at least.
Yeah, easily.
Minus, I think, what's going to be number 10 for both of us on the list. I'm hoping it's the same.
That's probably the same.
So we're going to go ahead and get in that, and then we're going to go back and forth. So I'll start with my number 10, and then you have to give your 9, and then I'll give my 9. So we'll go back and forth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no problem. And if you're listening listen to this, throw a comment, give us your top 10. You can do it two ways. Give us a top 10 on the 10 games we're talking about, and throw in your own top 10, maybe personal games you've played, maybe supplant some of the ones we have, because it might give us ideas.
Yeah, give us some ideas on things to play. We're definitely going to be starting to stream a little bit more. I finally got my internet fixed to where I can stream. I actually did a test stream. It works. So finally able to do something like that. So we probably can get some streaming going here, and maybe even stream this podcast. That might be something we can do at the time anyway. So I'm going to start with number 10, because I think I'm just taking a very easy one here. But my number 10 is Battlefield 2042. That's my number 10. Are we different right off the bat?
No, that's clearly mine.
All right.
The hype level for this game, from the moment they introduced the fan service trailer with the guy jumping out of the plane with the missile and getting back in his plane, and they just hyped this up so much. They leaned into Escape from Tarkov mechanics with their, I think it was called the Dark Zone or something like that game mode that they had, or
zone, extraction zone,
whatever they had. And to me, right out of the gate, the number one thing that's a red flag to me, you don't even have game chat. I'm tired of hearing about how Halo doesn't have this, or this game doesn't have this, or the game chat. Are you kidding me? From PlayStation 2 for SOCOM, like we're in PS5, Xbox Series console generation, and you can't get game chat to work on your multiplayer game.
It doesn't, like,
get out. Like, come on.
What is it? There's another game out there that's super popular that doesn't have it, isn't it? I can't think of it now, but there was another game where I was playing with a group of friends, and they didn't have cross-platform game chat, and it was driving me insane that we didn't have that. But yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Again, you said everything that needed to be said. The hype alone destroyed. But the other thing is they had time to fix it, because even when they did, like, I played the early access. So it wasn't like they didn't know that there were problems in the game, and they never changed anything. They didn't even have a scoreboard. You didn't have a scoreboard in the beginning.
I don't understand how they have the problem. This is the same studio that was flipping back and forth between Battlefield and the Star Wars games, right? So how do you have the disaster of a launch that you have as the same studio with the Star Wars game? At least the gameplay, the stuff in the game, and all that stuff was great. It was just so many other things went wrong with that game. And your very next game you release is even worse?
But worse with just crazy hype. Like if they had no hype around the game and it bombed, I mean, okay, it's a Battlefield game that bombed. Like that doesn't happen very often. Like they're at least decent. Because Battlefield has some of the best sniping mechanics, the best large map mechanics. They are known to have the best destruction mechanics in the game. But just a complete bomb, number 10. That's my call. You agree with that? So
yeah,
we're 1 for 1.
Zero
one
argument
for one.
there.
I'm shocked that this is going this well already.
I mean, it was a softball right down the middle.
Yeah,
so.
that was. I kind of put it in there just for that, so we could start off that way. But what's
it is still a popular
game,
so we had to talk about it. Number 9 for me is, I'm sure this right off the bat, this is where we're going to differ. It's Call of Duty Vanguard to me, and the reason it's on the list, and I'm going to be hypocritical here, and my arguments later might backfire based on what I'm saying. I understand that it is the number 1 selling game every year, but Call of Duty could make Candyland Call of Duty, and the shit would sell at least 1 year. They'd have to. I mean,
Candy Crush Call of Duty.
Yeah. So
That's just not how any of this works.
So I want to respect the fact that it's the number 1 selling game, like it is every year. But for the love of God, Activision, Infinity Ward, whichever one made this one, I don't know. Stop. We're done. We're done with the World War II. You ruined a big player base in Warzone because of this game. Like, stop with the World War II. We're done.
Well, they did. So I'm not going to disagree with you on having it at 9. Like I don't completely disagree with that. That is not my 9. So my 9 is the Cycle Frontier.
Okay.
And the reason why I have the Cycle so low, because I do like the game, but about 4 days after the launch of that game, it was absolutely riddled with hackers.
Mm-hmm.
With, again, no anti-cheat, no nothing built in the game. And I know you could say, oh, well, all the other games have that, but no. This was terribly bad. The other thing that I hated about this game is there was really no way to play it solo. With the way that they did the armor and the way that you had to build it and the time to kills, there was no way that a solo player was going to ever take out a squad, a three team, and it would have a whole lot of problems taking out even 2 players at once.
It was hard.
It was incredibly hard. So you almost, if you didn't have a group to play with, you were basically going in and it was purely a looter extraction. Don't even worry about shooting. Like I would go in without weapons and just my knife to run around and take stuff and collect what I could and get out. And it became incredibly boring over that time. I also felt like the quests weren't really that interesting. Like you just kind of went out there and picked up the same stuff over and over again. It didn't have a deep
took fetch quests from RPGs and put them into an extraction royale.
Pretty much. And it didn't have the depth of items or the depth of building that Escape from Tarkov had to keep you interested in those times where you're just like, man, this is going low, but at least I can go get certain things. Oh, I found that. Like it was super exciting to find things in Tarkov. But here in the Cycle, like I never felt that. Like I wanted to do PvP, but if I was by myself, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I put that at 9. So I think I'm not gonna start being like you're crazy because your Vanguard pick. Because my number 8 pick is Vanguard. So I have my number 8 is Call of Duty Vanguard. For all the reasons that you said, and also even more on the ranting side of why do you still think we want old games? Why? We want we want space games. We want all this other stuff. Or we want a completely different take on a World War II game. Not your standard thing. And I watched a ton of the Call of Duty League, and none of those guys look like they were having fun playing this game at all. So my number 8 there, I still think it's above the Cycle. It's definitely above Battlefield. But my number 8 there is definitely Vanguard. For all the reasons that you said, and a couple more there.
It's funny. It looks like we're just flipping because my number 8 is the cycle, and it is very similar to what you're saying. The reason I have it ahead of Vanguard is because it was unique. It is the shooting is, I think the gameplay and the shooting mechanic, I think it's very solid. I think the uniqueness of it was good, but the fact that you said the board, it wears off so quickly that I actually never really made it to the second map, and I put over 50 hours into the game.
Yeah,
it's not that I didn't want to go to the second map, but I just hadn't got to any quests that needed to go to the second map yet, and there was no reason to go just to check it out. So I understand that.
They also redid the loot pattern there in Cycle right before it launched. So the game you played before it launched with where loot was and how the map was set up, they flipped it and made it more of like, this is the low level map and this is the high level map.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like that because, even if you're a low level and you're a skilled player, like you could go into those higher level areas even on the first map. You should have been able to go in there, but you couldn't go in there on the second level map because the creatures in the game were just going to wipe you out.
Yeah, the creatures were OP
not much
for
you could
sure.
do.
Yeah.
They were definitely OP, and they all had unique ways you had to kill them. Like ones you had to shoot in the mouth, the other one you had to shoot in the back. Like I just want to be able to shoot something.
Yeah.
I'm a more there. Okay, so seems like we just flip flop those two. So what were we at?
It's my turn.
Your turn. 7.
7 for me is actually Splitgate.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna do a flip flop again.
I've got Splitgate here at 7. I do think that it was like I said, we talked about this on a podcast before. It came out at the right time. It kind of filled a gap. Everyone was anxious for Halo to come out. It had an old school Halo feel to it. It's not that it did. It does have an old school Halo feel to it. Obviously, a lot of the guns are, they're all Halo guns. Who are we kidding? And then it had that Portal feel to it. A little bit uniqueness to it. I think just the fact that I think it's really cool for a game like this at a small team as it's growing now, but that team to be even included on a list and be recognized amongst these heavy hitters, I think is impressive for them.
That's impressive there. So I didn't go that way. You're probably going to be surprised about this on how low this one is on my list. I went for my number 7 is Halo Infinite. And the biggest reason why I went with Halo Infinite down as low as it is because it's kind of the Battlefield effect I have here. I'm always going, Battlefield lost me on like gameplay in general, but the gameplay in Halo is Halo feeling gameplay. But they brought nothing else. Nothing else. They brought a great campaign, and I'm kind of leaving the campaign out of this talk.
Yeah, we're talking multiplayer stuff,
here. So yes, if this was campaign, it would be definitely higher up on my list. But you take the campaign out of it and you look at all it has is competitive play. It was set up for competitive play. And the replay factor is super low if you are not a competitive shooter player. If you don't like that world. Because the game modes are the same. They haven't changed any of them. The maps were just okay. They needed more. They had no Forge, and they still don't have Forge. They have no Battle Royale. We've talked about this exclusively. There's no Battle Royale here, and how awesome that Battle Royale could be. That's an episode on its own.
They should have one, for sure.
And they should have done that. And they also are still canceling features. Now, I know the split screen was not a big deal to me or you, but they're canceling features that they said they were going to have. And they're missing deadlines on everything that they're doing right now. So, I had to put them down low. I just couldn't do it. I love the game. But within this list, it just doesn't excite me as much. I'll play it if I have nothing else to play.
I will say one thing that I find a little bit funny. When the game kept getting delayed, everyone kept assuming that the game was delayed because of what was going on with the campaign. And now, the longer we get into this, it makes me feel like the game was delayed because multiplayer wasn't ready, not because the campaign.
No, I feel like it
visuals
wasn't ready,
still looked bad or anything.
But I also feel like there was something going on internal there that we just will never know. But I agree with you. I think it was the multiplayer that was holding them up, not the campaign at all.
Yeah, I don't think
that's my number 7. So I'm on 6. I have Splitgate as my number 6.
Okay.
Game here. Again, the reason why I have Splitgate over Halo is because at least Splitgate brought something different. Even though it's a Halo clone at the end of the day, the portaling was something different. Even though I suck at it. I'm absolutely terrible at it. I also thought their maps were much more engaging. And they had a ranked gameplay that had a player base in it. So you could play ranked and you had a player base. I also, between Halo Infinite and Splitgate, kind of one of the things I like is I don't feel like I run into many cheaters at all in those games. Now that could just be Halo every once in a while, but Splitgate I never felt like I ran into cheaters. I just ran into people that were better than me.
You know why you didn't feel like you ran into the cheaters? Because their own AI bot system were cheaters.
That's true. They did have freaking aimbot on. Their AI was insane. But mainly I put it over Halo because it has the ranked modes and the portals were something new. If you're going to make a clone, at least make something new to the clone, and they did. And the transparency of the studio as a whole and telling you what they're going to do, when they're going to do it. They hit their deadlines, and when they weren't going to hit their deadlines, they told you why. Like, it's so refreshing to have someone say, yeah, we're not going to make it because we're just not ready, guys. Like, the dev work's not done, and we don't want to put a crappy game out there, so we're going to move the date back. Cool. I can get down with that. I can understand that. So what's your number 6?
My number 6 is going to be PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG.
What?
Yeah, the reason the reason I am going to drop this down to 6 on my list is it's pretty obvious. The jankiness of the game, the player movement is nowhere near.
That's because you don't know how to play on PC.
No. Their player move. You'll see my 5. The player movement is not better than the 5 that I have above it. The biggest knock for me is that I switched from. Now I have over 1,000 hours on this game on Xbox. And so everyone's like, well, it's because you played on Xbox. Well, now I'm level 90 something on PC. I switched over to PC and playing it on PC. It's fine, ranked up to level 90. I paid the money for the plus version of it so I could play ranked, only to find out there's basically no ranked players, and they don't let you know that. So you cannot get into a ranked game on North American servers. And to me, that's why I dropped this.
True. That might have just been the night that we were on.
Everything I've looked up for the last year, they say
I was watching people play, and they were. You
got to switch to European servers, UK servers.
Maybe the ping will help us.
Yeah, maybe. So that's one of the reasons I drop it. And the other reason I drop it is outside of the map system. And I'll get into this later. I wish their map system. Every time somebody tells me another game can't have multiple maps, and for whatever reason, the memory. Listen, PUBG does it, so shut up. Like, if they can do it, then I totally believe these other games can do it.
I will give you like the jankiness of the game, and they're not. PUBG is not spending a lot on the texture files in their game to be able to do multiple maps and things like that. Oh, what was your 7 again? I can't remember.
My 7 was Splitgate.
Splitgate. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a knock to put PUBG at 6 based on this list. I know you look at that a little bit different.
I think it is.
I think that it's solid. I think that it's funny out of the two of us that you're over there defending PUBG more than me, seeing as I had to beg you to play this game and you thought it was horrible.
You started wanting me to play it on PC, and if we're gonna be like, or on console, if we're gonna say like I'm considering PUBG console doesn't exist. Like, that doesn't exist. That game shouldn't exist. I don't know about PUBG Mobile. I haven't played it.
Hey,
people seem to really love
listen. For us console players, this was all we had.
I'm not
for
saying
battle
it's not all
royales,
you had.
and we had to
No,
learn
you
the hard
always
way.
had- I
You
understand that.
don't like challenges. I understand.
I was smart enough to not play crappy games and play good games when you guys were just playing crappy games over and over again. Now I think when you get to PC, you're completely wrong on that. So you're just wrong. There are plenty of games that are worse than that one on these lists that I don't even know where you're gonna put the other ones now because you're made such a bad mistake already.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so 5. I think this is yours.
5 for me is Halo Infinite. I have it lower on the list for a lot of the same reasons you said, and we kind of touched on already. The fact that there just wasn't really an end game to their multiplayer system, but there is no denying when it comes to the type of shooter that it is. They're just like Call of Duty has Halo movement system and the way the guns feel and the gameplay. It's second to none out there. Those two are top. As far as
It almost
the
feels
gameplay
like,
itself, they're at the top of the class.
now that I think about it, it almost feels like if Halo had have just done what Halo does best and not try to do a battle pass system, not try to do the skin system, not try to do all the other things that other games were doing and just made Halo, it would have been awesome. Like I think it would probably be in the top 3 of my list. But I can.
But I will say, I think that's why it gets so much hate is because the stupid game plays so well and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And then to just put so many hours into it, and we've been conditioned to have so many rewards after the game and something to level up to. We are as gamers. Nobody wants to play a game just for fun anymore. We need to have some sort of progression, ranking, something to grind
Halo
towards.
still runs as one of the best competitive shooters out there.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're playing for. When you're playing competitive, and if they had a ranked mode, I think it's higher because then you have the thing to play for.
Yeah.
At that point, but without the ranked mode, without all the other stuff, it became underwhelming. I'm okay with you putting it in the top 5, but
you thought I was going to have it much higher, I'm guessing. So
no,
you were worried.
I thought you were going to have it lower. I thought you were going to have it
no
down
after
where I had it.
no, but after I didn't put it where you put it, and I didn't put it at 6, I think you started to think I was going to rank that a little bit higher.
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't have been upset unless you put it as number 1, like 1 or 2. If it was in your top 3, actually, I would have been like, you're an idiot. But it can land anywhere on this list, but it's not one of the top 3 because I think they just screwed it up. So my number 5 on the list is actually Apex Legends.
It's okay to be wrong.
And no, I'm not wrong here. And the reason why I'm not wrong here is all these games moving forward have something with them that they do better than everybody else. I think now in this list.
I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment here.
No,
I think you're setting yourself up to be wrong. You better hope a lot of people don't listen to this episode because they are going to crush you.
I don't. That's fine. What the fuck do I care? Then make your own list. Apex Legends is phenomenal movement. Good to better gunplay. But the thing that I cannot stand about the game is it is a hero shooter. Hands down. And the reason why I don't like hero shooters is because hero shooters get 2 metas in their game that everyone plays. They get the hero meta that everyone's playing, and then they get the gun meta that everybody's playing. So you have to follow 2 metas the whole time in that game. And it just drives me insane that you have to do that. If you're not playing those characters, you're not going to have a chance to be really good at the game. I'm not a good hero shooter player. I understand that. And everyone out there that is good, I will be the first one to say, I think Apex Legends is the hardest game, second hardest game on this list to play. To pick up and play, it's probably the second hardest game that we have on this list. There's one that's more punishing and harder than it, but Apex is, well, maybe 2.
I think as to be top skill to top skill, it's definitely top 2 or 3.
But there's no way that I'm not going to have it in the top 5. And where it lands in the top 5, that's going to be a big debate between everybody. But for me, being a hero shooter knocks it down right off the bat. That's what I have as 5. What's your 5? What's your wrongness here?
No, that was Halo was my 5. You're up. You're going to 4.
We're a 4. So my number 4 is Escape from Tarkov. And the reason Escape from Tarkov is number 4 on my list and not higher.
No, we can talk about this together because it's also 4 for me.
Okay. So the reason it's not higher on my list is because of the cheater problem. And I do not believe that they are trying to do anything about it. I don't think they care. I don't think they're doing anything to shut it down. The other reason why I have some of these other games above it is because its barrier to entry is high as crap. I remember starting the game and it was so frustrating. You have to power through that game and start to understand how it plays because you are giving nothing. And when I said there's not a harder game, the harder game than Apex, it's Escape from Tarkov. Hands down, the hardest game to play on this list. The gunplay is amazing. The bullet, the bullets and the actual like ammunition in the game and the fragmentation it gets and the ballistic coefficients that they use, all the ballistics in the game are phenomenal. The graphics in the game are pretty good for what it is.
The problem is if you want to crank up the graphics and have the game look amazing, you can, but it puts you at such a disadvantage in the game that every competitive person that puts more than 100 hours into this immediately starts dumbing down their graphics. But you have to admit, you do have to admit that there is no better game on our list that has the 20-minute loop. If we were to say that the loop of going in and out, nothing is more intense than this game. The adrenaline rush that you can get off of this game. Nothing is better.
But it takes forever to get in a damn match. And I don't understand. All the other games on this list, we can get into matches so much faster. And some of these games have less players than they do. So it's all server side where they are not getting into games fast enough. And the other thing that brings it down to 4 and it doesn't crack my top 3 is mainly because the amount of time you have to take in between runs. You die, you got to go buy everything new. You got to find what it is. Or even if you don't die, I got to organize my loot. I got to figure out what I need to like it. There's so much time in between that you only get 5 or 6 games a night in if you're playing for 3-4 hours straight.
Yeah.
You might only get 5 raids in. And you know, I know we're not like the top tier players and there are people better than us that win all the time and can do things super fast. But for an average player that just wants to play a game, this isn't it for you. But if you want something that's going to be the most realistic, and we have a podcast on what realistic means, but the feeling, the adrenaline pumping, you're ready to go. This is it until you start dying to hackers all the time and you just don't want to play anymore, which is where we're at with it. And I don't think they want to fix it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're not putting any efforts into that. And because it does have a large player base, but not large compared to some of the games on our list. Like it's nowhere near the
larger than others,
but it's not, are there hackers in Call of Duty? Yes, but the player base is so large, you might not run into 50. We've run into the same hackers in 4 raids in a night Escape from Tarkov. The exact same people. Also, so it does start to it wears on you a little bit more.
Like even though the cycle's 9, the number one thing that makes the cycle amazing is you can get into a game within seconds.
Yeah.
You can't even like walk away from your computer and come back. You're immediately launching into the game. So why can the cycle do it with a smaller player base, but Tarkov can't? Now, I understand that the cycle is a running loop on a time clock. You're not starting a fresh raid every single time. But like, there's no reason for 20-minute queue times. And there's no reason that every single time you push an update, you break something in your fucking game.
Yeah.
Like Tarkov breaks something every time they push an update.
I mean, I was just,
Your
you
game's
know,
never broken.
and the other thing that gets frustrating is that, I mean, you talk about games that have been taken forever to be finished or delayed constantly. I mean, I remember seeing the first Streets of Tarkov tease back in 2017. It was supposed to
Well,
be.
now we're gonna get Arena before Streets.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, they
it's crazy.
guaranteed in 2018 it would be out, and here we are in
Yeah.
almost the end of 22. So,
I mean, but again,
but as far
great
as the
game.
gameplay goes, it's an amazing game. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
There's nothing on this list that competes with it in their genre. Like it stands on its own. But because of the little issues that they have, I gotta knock it down a little bit on the list.
All right,
All right.
number 3 for me is this is where I put Apex Legends. Now the reason I've got them in my top 3, well, the reason I have them at 3 and not in the top 2, negative wise, is the same thing you said. It is tough. I'm not a big fan of hero shooters, and it is tough to constantly understand the metas. And I mean, you have to know, like, oh, that's a wraith and that's this before you're even attacking a team. The information you have to know is a lot of tough. Now, I will say the positive things about this. If you can remember, this is the game that launched out of nowhere using streamers to launch it. It really kind of boosted the popularity of a lot of streamers. The way that they dropped it, the way that they launched it with hardly any marketing, taking a very loose. Listen, anyone that argues with me that this is way more connected to Titanfall than it is, it's a very loose connection to Titanfall. Yes, they took these pilots. Oh, these are the pilots. But listen, when I played Titanfall, ain't none of my pilots have any of these special
Hero special abilities.
these special abilities. Okay, so
No.
so no,
made all
so
that
I love the loose connection to it. I think they definitely take a little bit of a Fortnite approach to it. And these systems, you talk about them not bringing anything unique. What they did to the Battle Royale genre by adding the ping system, all these other games started copying them. Their
Yeah, that's true.
mechanics are so sound. I'm not good at the game, but the movement in the game is phenomenal. The ranking system is phenomenal. It's just a better overall on the back end to me, on the back end side of things, from the ranking to the post game to all the different ways to go about it. It's way better than even some of the games that I have, you know, the 2 games that I have above it. It's just better. And it's frustrating that these other games, oh, they'll copy the ping system, but oh God forbid we copy anything else. I mean, they're literally laying it out and showing you what gamers want.
Yeah, I mean, I can get with that. You know, again, I'm not a fan of hero shooters. I have it in my top 5. I think it could crack above these, but in my mind, the fact that they focused highly on competitive play, and I think they really did. They focus on their competitive play nature of it for a battle royale. I think if I gave it more time to understand all the heroes, I would be more apt to play it because it is so competitive. But at the end of the day, I just don't think anybody can pick it up and play it to make it the top of the group.
Oh no,
we're
I mean,
looking
look,
at.
Nick Merckx is a great example. Nick Merckx is a phenomenal multiplayer shooter player, and it took him quite a while
He grinded
to grind and understand the game.
Yeah.
So
All
if you're taking a top player that's having frustrations at the beginning, which is why he liked it. He liked the grind. It was a challenge for him finally after
But he's
so
a
many things.
competitive gamer.
But he's
He
this
was
huge competitive gamer.
yeah.
So imagine how hard it is for the casual person to go in and start picking it up.
And
It's
I
going
mean,
to take
and
twice
not
as long.
everybody's Shroud, and they're going to be amazing at everything they pick up, regardless.
Yeah.
So my number 3, because you were so wrong, like a bunch of groups ago, was PUBG. So I put PUBG in there as the number 3. Why it cracks my top 3 right now is mainly because they do what they do better than anybody else. It's a battle royale through and through. You drop in, you pick up your loot, and you start a fight. And
if you're not playing a hacker, you have a chance.
If you're not playing a hacker,
their hacker problem is worse than Escape from Tarkov.
No, not even
No,
close.
you're crazy.
I'm going to say that half the time
almost more than half the time.
No,
More than half the time,
stop.
I'm
Hold
on
hold
PC. I am dying to a
And all
hacker.
these times you're like, I'm dying to hackers. I'm tired of hackers. But what's the number one thing you never tell me? I never get those things where they say they caught the hacker. I never get them. You've gotten
Well,
one.
I don't report them
You're
all the
dying
time
to
either.
people that are better than you. And if you're not reporting them, then that's stupid. But you're dying to people that are just better than you at this point. And you're upset about it.
I mean, even when I play with you, you're reporting them almost every time we die.
I report the ones that are there, but I get it coming back all the time. At least 2 or 3 a day that come back when we play that are saying, oh, these guys were hackers, the exact guys. And I'm looking at them like, and you're like, no, they were hacking. I'm like, I don't really think so. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think, I think the game is riddled with it at this point, but I think all games are.
Oh, for sure. I'm not saying they're
is
unique.
small, but it is not as bad as Escape from Tarkov. I don't want to not play the game because I'm not losing anything incredibly valuable to me in the game like Tarkov. Tarkov, you have to stop the hackers because if I can't loot and bring stuff out, I can't play the game. I can't advance. I am okay with if I died to a hacker and Warzone made me this way because of how much it was happening in the beginning. I will accept the second place as winning. I will accept the third place as winning if I run into it. But they do what they do well, and I love the fact, again, that it's grueling because when you die, there's no way to get back in the game.
Yeah.
You got to do that. They do what they do well, and they stick to it. And I love the attachments in the game. Like for me, that's amazing. Like different guns have different attachments. They change the recoil. I can pick them up. And I know as I'm going through, I'm leveling up my weapons, which are going to make me better throughout it. I love the fact that you can only get some of the weapons out of the drops. Like they're just not laying out there the best weapons. You've got to get a drop, which means you got to take a chance if you're going to go out there and try to get one. I do agree with you on the hacker issue. But I also think you just die to people that are better than you and get upset too much. Because I never seem to get them, yet I get them all the time. Just saying. Maybe play a little bit more, practice some. Get the taint tickler out and make it a little bit better.
Yeah,
if you could play with a keyboard and you didn't have to use all the contraptions that you got to put in your hand and shove up your butt, then,
No, if I was playing with a keyboard, that'd be way worse. I gotta look down at the keyboard for the keys.
Play with a keyboard. I said if you could, then we wouldn't have all these issues. Anyway, I think we're coming down to the same last two.
Yeah, you're number 2.
I lost you, like volume wise there. Sorry.
You're. Well, it's on your number 2, I believe.
Yeah, I know. I unplugged my mic by accident. Like,
you got so excited.
I did. You got me a little heated there because I
mean, you're allowed to be wrong.
Anyway. I'm not though. That's the problem. Like the amount of times you're wrong next to me being wrong, it's not even comparative.
Okay, sure.
So my number 2 is Call of Duty Warzone. That is my number 2. And the reason why I have it as number 2 and not my number 1 is because I am a die-hard lover of this game. And by God, did you fuck it up with the Caldera map and everything you changed. And honestly, we have gone back and we played it. You guys made me re-download it. I played it again. I'll be honest with you. I don't have any fun playing that game right now. I don't. It's not a good time. The movement is great. The guns are okay if you're using the Modern Warfare. The loadout drop is amazing. The gulag is great. Actually, this gulag is actually really good.
Oh, wait, so you're having a little bit of fun.
That one. So the gulag is great. Being able to buy your players back in. This is also one of the games where I think you get the closest feeling to Escape from Tarkov of being able to turn a game around. Because you're the only one there, you're able to buy your whole team back in. You get that, and you cannot deny that Warzone is the top dog game. Everybody is still playing it, even though it's shit. Everybody is still playing it. So I had to put it as my number 2 because I could not put it as number 1. I couldn't. I could not do it because of how much they destroyed my heart with Caldera.
Well,
so you go ahead.
I have. What do you think my number 2 is?
I think your number 2 is Escape from Tarkov. I don't think you've said Escape
No, I
from
did.
Tarkov
We both
yet.
put it at 4.
We both put it at 4. I think your number 2 would. I think we're only down to Warzone and Fortnite.
Yes.
So I think your number 2 would have to be probably Fortnite. I think you went with Warzone as 1.
No, my number 2 is Warzone.
So we agree.
We do agree, and the reason is I think Verdansk was amazing. I think they do a lot of unique things. They stole the ping system from Apex, which was really smart. I think their circles are really good. I think their contract system is really good. They obviously got a head start. You got to remember back to which you've never played, and I would love for you to download it and try it, which is Blackout. Or did you play Blackout?
I didn't play.
Okay,
Blackout.
so Blackout, it's still active. It's still active. So we should get you in there to try it out a little bit. So I think Call of Duty did great. In my opinion, Call of Duty took PUBG and popularized it and put it in a game that everyone knows how to play, and then the movement and the shooting and the mechanics. And I've been
the game down so much.
Yeah, I've been, but that's fine. That's fine. And I think I find it funny that a lot of people want them to get rid of the loadout system for Warzone 2, which is
just so
dumb because that's the thing. Everyone needs to have their own unique thing. In my opinion, it's not the buyback, it's not the gulag, it's the loadout. The loadout system,
the gulag and the loadout.
But the loadout system is what makes it so unique and why people want to play it. Do I agree that I need to play 100 hours of multiplayer to level up a stupid gun because it's meta for that too? No, that's stupid. But that's how they make their money and whatever. So I'm excited to see how they
on Vanguard, which is way down on our list.
So I'm excited
to do it.
I'm excited to see what they do with Warzone 2 and what they put into it. But it is number 2, and the biggest reason is that the entry I still think is hard. It's difficult compared to my number 1, which is Fortnite. Fortnite for me, the way that they have evolved. Now there's some argument in the beginning on whether they stole the code from PUBG, which was built on Epic, which helped them. But them changing from the original Fortnite game that they had out there, which was like Save the World or some sort of PvE 4 versus the environment type game, pivoting this to Battle Royale, and it just grew. Obviously, Ninja back in the day helped grow this. But the way that they can integrate everything in pop culture into this game, the point of entry to this game, you could be 4 years old and play the game and have fun. May they never win a game? Yes, but you can go fishing. You can fight the monsters that they add in the game. You can run around in a gerbil ball right now, I think.
You can. It's so much fun.
There's just so much leveling
up. There's a suction cup on it.
Yeah, there's so much leveling up in the game that has nothing to do with your skill level. Now, for the competitive side of Fortnite, in my opinion, you can argue with me if you want, Ender, there is no Battle Royale game that has a higher skill level than Fortnite. The people that can build and shoot and do all that quickly, they are on a whole nother level of competitive gaming than the rest of us. Doesn't mean they win every time, but they are up there. So I'm going to let you kind of speak your mind on it.
I mean, I think that's so I put pretty much for all the reasons that you have it there. But one of my biggest reasons,
and also I do want to say this. You did mention that you thought Warzone has had the top dog of player base. No, Fortnite is double it. Fortnite is more than double the player base.
I guess what when I said top dog, I'm more or less thinking of the current thing everyone is talking about.
Yeah.
Like I think Warzone stands the test of time as the popular game that everyone wants to talk about. But I think it was rivaling Fortnite when Verdansk was there and we first got this game they were incredibly close to player base. Call of Duty screwed it up. Their integration screwed it up. The thing that makes Fortnite, in my opinion, and it's kind of the same thing I said about PUBG, is Fortnite knows their audience, they know their gameplay, and they have figured out a way. Now, if they didn't have no build mode, I think this would be very low on my list right now. But the fact that they have the no build mode that brings people like us over, who are never going to be talented enough to build as fast as these guys are. But I'm not going to lie, I think we have better gunplay than some of these builders. You know, I've noticed that. I've played when build mode before and just waxed people that can build faster than me if we get into an actual gunfight. But the competitive, they've made a competitive game that was easy to play for all. And it is the only game that I love to buy skins in. Because they're cool and they're fun. And it's, granted, I don't really play a lot of third person games, but the fact that it's third person and I can see the skin that I buy, I love. Call of Duty, I don't want to buy all the skins because I can't see them.
And their in-game events, no one has touched them.
They're just unbelievable.
Warzone has tried, but they are awful compared to Fortnite.
Trex and I forgot we were playing the game when we dropped in, because we played last night or 2 nights ago, and we spent an entire game just playing at the new roller coaster that was in the balls. Just like riding these balls around with suction cups, driving, trying to pick up the markers that were all around, making the jump. Like, we completely forgot we were playing a battle royale. We were just playing in there, and then all of a sudden, like, people started shooting us. We're like, oh shit, we actually have to play the game. Like, the circle's closing on us. But it's got so much fun in there, and to me, the movement is great. It has very Apexy movement in it, in all honesty. Like the way you slide, the way you move, the way you jump, you climb, it all moves very seamlessly. But I can play that game with my nephew, who is 9 years old, and have just as good of a time as playing with you guys. Hands down. And I, again, don't feel like I run into a lot of cheaters because of the player base size. It's so big that we win games pretty often in Fortnite, or we're in the top 3 or top 5 because we're pretty good battle royale players.
And to launch into a game is super, like,
and launching in a game is super fast. You know, as cheesy and cartoony as it is, okay, yeah, sometimes you're just like, you want something more realistic, but at the end of the day, the game I'm having the most fun with, and I went back to, because all the other games I just not having fun with, I went back to start playing Fortnite again because it's just fun. Playing by myself is fun. Playing with squads are fun. And it has, like, and one thing like PUBG, you know, PUBG, you can't play duos in certain things. Like, you can't play first person duos because the player base isn't there. You know, the gunplay is so much better there and everything. We want technicality of all of it. But at the end of the day, sometimes that loses my vote, and I'm going to go to the thing that I know I'm going to get into games fast. I know I'm going to have a good time with, and I can bring my nephew into the games if we want to, and he can have a good time. Now, he'll want to play build mode and outbuild all of us, but I just think
maybe he can just build and we'll shoot.
Dude, that's what I do with him. We play duos, and he builds and I shoot. That's how we play, and it works great. The barrier of entry is super low. I don't think it's as low as Call of Duty, in all honesty.
I think it's lower, and the reason, like I said, is because there's so many things to do that have nothing to do with shooting other players.
I just think Call of Duty.
You can't go into Call of. You can't. Yeah, but that's because you have so much love for Call of Duty. You forget the fact you could go into Fortnite and level up your battle pass by going fishing.
That's a good point.
In the circle, you could just die out to the circle eventually.
You can level guns up in Call of Duty by just picking them up and holding them.
No, I understand. Okay. Yeah, but you don't feel like you're earning like cool little like collectibles and cool little things to put on your character because it's first person.
I'm not fighting you on Fortnite. Like it is the top. Warzone should be up there. I think they could be up there. But they've got this Warzone 2 has to hit on all cylinders and just be absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion, to knock Fortnite out of that realm.
I mean, we're sitting here talking about how it's woe is them. They're second places on our list.
But when you're dealing with
poor
Warzone
there.
You're dealing with first and second. You got to be that critical to separate them because they are. I think they are that close. But the difference is Warzone, when they went to do integration with other things, failed, and Fortnite never did. They have never failed. And just the popularity of that game and their ability to transcend media as a whole across all different boundaries. And you got to give a lot of that up to Ninja in the beginning. You know, he really blew that game up. But now you got guys like Tfue playing it consistently, and Tfue is like a Shroud level player out there. You know, that has that skill, that was a competitive guy out there. And he's still only playing Fortnite because the gameplay is just better than all the other ones that are out there. You know, so Fortnite wins for me. Fortnite wins for you. I think our biggest blunder on your list was PUBG. I mean, I'm not sure where your head was at there, but okay, that's fine.
I mean, you can think what you want, but I'm not gonna let you act like it has better things than Apex Legends. It should. I think it's.
It's hero shooter. That's where hero shooters get knocked down on my list. I'm sorry. All right, so there you go, guys. There you have it. This has been the Extraction Royale podcast with surprisingly smarter than I thought he was going to be co-host James today. And I am Ender. Thank you for listening to this first episode, and please let us know what you want to talk about. We're really going to be trying to give you news that are around these shooter games, the extraction games, the Royale games that we love to play, that we rotate through. And James, tell them about kind of one of the fun things we might try to do on some streams.
We want to start doing some co-streams. And you can find me now. I've moved over to Facebook actually, so you can find me at Facebook Gaming under James III. But one thing we'd like to do, and we want to hear from your guys' comments, is maybe introduce some other battle royales or extraction royales or maybe some shooters that you'd like us to try out and play. We'll try to play them once a week, maybe for an hour, maybe the entire night if we're enjoying ourselves, maybe for 20 minutes if it's absolutely awful, like Insurgency Sandstorm.
Yeah.
So I know that I've played a handful of games different than Ender, so I'm going to get him involved into Hunt Showdown. The problem I'm nervous about Hunt Showdown is I know Ender. And other than the fact that the guns, for those that know what it is, the guns and everything's older. They're not modern, a lot of modern weapons. It's older, but it's the setting. This is the type of game that Ender could get lost in, and he may not want to play anything else. So I am nervous about that. And
I
then
come out of it, though. I only dive in for like 2 or 3 months, and I come out of it.
On the cute side,
Warzone 2 is around the corner, so we're all gonna pop out for that at some point. So we need to find some
on the other side, on the cuteness side, there's Super Animal Royale, which is a top-down.
I haven't heard about this. I'm interested on this.
It's pretty funny. There's also another game that plays very similar to PUBG, but it's got some quirks to it. Which is called Cuisine Royale. Those are some games that I have jumped in, so some of you might mention those in the comments. But outside of that, we're open to anything that you want to throw at us. We'd love to try that. And then, like I said, we might just throw out some co-streams on our Warzone or Fortnite or Escape from Tarkov, PUBG, whatever we're playing that night, and see you guys there. So we're excited about the future of this. And like Ender said, we have jumped around on different types of podcasts, and it does always just come back to this. The other thing that I think we'll lean into is that we might talk about something specific. So if we talk about some changes in Escape from Tarkov because we started playing that the week before. We would like to be able to list the people that are the experts that have consistent things on YouTube and channels that are specifically Escape from Tarkov. If it's Warzone, we can throw out the J Gods and the Iceman Isaacs and stuff like that. And so you guys will always know where to go to learn a little bit more about that specific game. And we can do that with some of the newer games that we're doing. So not as much of a news channel because everyone, of course, usually just goes to IGN, GameSpot, things like that already, Game Ranks. So we'd like to be a little bit different and then kind of guide you in the direction. If we hit on something that you really, really like, we'll be able to guide you into the direction of how to expand upon that game.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's shocking because normally I could do everything better. But yes, thank you very much for listening. This has been the first episode of the Extraction Royale. Thank you and good night.